He knows. I mean, I got an order. How that order disappeared from me, I don't know. I got an order from my brother Cyrus Jirongo. He gave me an order.
To deliver?
Yeah, to print T-shirts for YK that time. And you know what the story behind it? It's a long story. If you are removing the Supreme Court because of incompetence and corruption, and some fellows say, calls it what? Juris Pesa.
Yeah.
If that is the case, the first arm of government that must go home, is the executive. The boy is getting 1.5 billion shillings when other constituencies are getting nothing. A paltry 50 million shillings.
Yeah.
I think that's why the backside has so much heat. He can't bear the heat.
You don't have to go there.
But I have a don't question. Talk about can't go there. People are feeling pain, and that's where I'm going. Jed, that is where I'm going. Because that backside needs a fire brigade. But you know, sometimes when you think you're smart, kumbe, you're like my teacher, English teacher will say, Mr. Okila, you're too idiotic, more than idiosyncrasy itself. You know, you're too idiotic, more than idiosyncrasy itself. That is our people. What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house, this is not so going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post-Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.
A very good day to you and welcome to Philip Kisia Unscripted this particular Friday. My name is Jadiel Kabiro, always ready for this political conversations that we hope will help our political leaders to make better political decisions and informed policy moves. I'm here with Philip Kisia. Philip Kisia is a leadership and governance expert, the last town clerk and CEO of Nairobi City. He is now the proposed Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Executive Director. Our conversation for today is all about the unrest that we are having in this country. Revelations are coming left, right and center about who is abducting a special unit actually at the DCI, according to Human Watch, about, look, these guys are the people abducting young people in the country and foreigners that we've seen being abducted within our borders. Kisia, it's great to see you today. How are you? How's your week been?
Well, Jed, just thank God that you're still alive. I mean, don't take it for granted. There are people who were there yesterday who are not there today.
Yeah.
So be grateful.
Just being grateful.
Just be grateful.
Get to your reflections before we talk about what Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi was all about since Sunday. What have you noticed? What do you think Kenyans should reflect on?
I think I came across a few videos which got me thinking about this country and how we are being governed as a country. And strange enough, one of the videos actually is a prophecy by William Ruto himself. But
a prophecy.
A prophecy, yeah, by Mr. William Ruto himself.
Okay.
Quite some time back in 2008. But you know, there seemed to be a wind of change in Africa. Things that are happening that we never imagined would happen. In the West, we have President Senegal, quite a young man. We have the most popular president in Africa right now, Ibrahim Traore, is the most popular. You saw how he was received just the other day in foreign land. But look for that video where the new president of Botswana, Duma Boko, I think he was giving his inaugural speech. Just play a bit of it, I think the first 1 or 2 minutes.
Humanity and serve human rights, human rights, human rights. What is human rights? Where do these rights come from? They don't come from me. They don't come from the Constitution. No, they don't. They are traceable to a source above and beyond, outside of that fading parchment that we call the Constitution. Pray for me. that at some point I may also probably become a saint. Right now, I'm just a sinner seeking redemption. Imagination to the rescue.
There is one thing that Boko has talked about: the rule of law, the Constitution, which is a supreme document that any person who has been given the responsibility of governing a nation must make reference to. But he talks of a higher power, some powers that are higher than even the Constitution, that protect human rights. He makes reference to the Almighty God, because a human being is a creature, is a creation of the Almighty God. So those rights that are being exercised actually are guaranteed by the Almighty God himself, and therefore the Kenya Kwanza government, probably, if they have these things that they call benchmarking,
Capacity building. Yeah.
They need to go to Botswana. Because the man respects the Constitution, but also he makes reference to what? The Almighty God, who is more superior even to the Constitution, and is a creator of life, and therefore the rights, the human rights that you have are guaranteed by him. Then I want you to look for this video of my very good friend William Samoei Ruto. I think we need to replay it, and because you people in the media should play that several times.
Welcome to Herencia, the heartland of good living, where you belong. A community with endless possibilities. Your path to discovering a master-planned gated community that matches your ambitions. Get yourself this must-have piece of paradise with state-of-the-art amenities, constant water supply, good security, tarmac roads, and much more. The best part, availability of buy and build financing services. Don't wait. Contact us today or visit our offices for more info. Buy and build your way at Herencia, the heartland of good living.
I think you must make it part of the national anthem. Play it daily. Play it for William. Play it in the morning.
Yeah.
Play it in the evening.
Yeah.
It must reach William Ruto.
But the worst kind of impunity is the impunity of deceitful leaders. Leadership that is about deceit. That they tell us one thing before the election, they completely do the opposite after the election.
President William Ruto, then in 2008, speaking about impunity, is this where we are? Why do you want it to be played every single day?
In 2008, he was a member of parliament. And I think even that was when we had the Nusumukate government, okay, which he was part of. But it was as if he was prophesying, because he has talked about what? He has talked about deceit, being deceitful. You talk about one thing, you do the opposite once you're in power. I think President Ruto was talking about himself. And that is why I insist, Jed, that you must play that video for William Ruto in church, and for the next few weeks, as a commercial break, other than Ruto must go. In those social places like today you're going, Ruto must go. Add this video to remind him that he has been deceitful. Because William Ruto, just the other day, was talking about the Grammy Awards. You know, you people, young people, you know about these Grammy Awards.
Yes.
He talked about this thing being held next month here. He talked about releasing public funds, 500 million, not his money. It's not his money.
Yeah.
He talked about as 500 million, yet we have children who don't even have classrooms in this republic. He talked about giving our mothers newborn babies diapers. Have you seen them?
No.
Free diapers. He talked about pandos.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bundles.
where are these bundles?
Yeah.
Where are these free bundles he was talking about? So if there's anybody who's deceitful,
Yeah.
if there's someone who's a top liar, a professional liar, there's none other than William Samoei Arap Chirchir Ruto. Okay? And if, I don't know, maybe that time he never thought that he'll be in this position. But now he is.
Yeah.
And that's why probably you need to remind him. Then, of course, William Ruto, before got into power, he talked about state capture. Of course, he never talked about corruption. I don't know why. You should ask him one day when you interview him. But we are now, what we experience in this country in terms of state capture has never happened before. And it will never happen again in this country, where somebody who has been given a chance to provide leadership manages and governs a country as if it is personal property. I think it's a very sad state of affairs. But Kenyans, those who elected him, I hope they're celebrating. I, for sure, never gave him my vote.
Is there anyone celebrating really?
I don't know, because they made a decision to elect him as a president. So if they are mourning, what do they expect us to do? If they are mourning, what should we do? Those of us who saw a deceitful man, and we warned you, and we said, this man, we know him, not since yesterday, we have known him for some time.
You told me something about t-shirts.
Yeah, he knows. I mean, I got an order. How that order disappeared from me, I don't know. I got an order from my brother Cyrus Jirongo. He gave me an order.
To deliver?
Yeah, to print t-shirts for YK that time. And you know what the story behind it? It's a long story. And Cyrus has told you this story about t-shirts, paying for so many t-shirts. You know, what in City Hall they used to call, you know, you circulate. Yeah. The same bunch is brought again and paid for. You know, that's being deceitful. But with all that information that we gave you, you still thought that, you know, is a saint. Now children are being abducted left, right, and center. You're being punished with heavy taxation. So I think choices have consequences, and therefore Kenyans need to learn, and to learn that you don't just give somebody a vote because he's well spoken.
Okay.
That person could be something else. The last video, as part of my reflection, you know, and we keep on talking about jurisdictions where the rule of law is respected. And then I thought about our country, where an IG is summoned by a court of law. Not once, not twice. The fellow doesn't appear. Where a cabinet secretary is summoned in court, the character doesn't appear. Are they above the law? Just look for that video where the police, not even the military, the police, using the constitution, and because they respect the rule of law, they arrested President Suku. They impeached president. They arrested him from his own residence. And you can imagine arresting William Ruto at State House. You go there and arrest him. Police officers, one IG. What do you call his man? The new one? Kanja. You know, there have been so many under Ruto. I think this is the third one. There's so many, I can't even remember their names, man. Come on, play that video.
Impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has been arrested at his residence here in Seoul's Yongsan district. It's the first time for the sitting South Korean president to be taken into custody. Yoon will now be taken in for questioning, and investigators can hold the president for 48 hours. They will need to request another warrant if they want to keep him detained for up to 20 days beyond the initial arrest. Earlier, Yoon repeatedly defied summons to appear for questioning in an insurrection probe over his failed martial law order in December.
That is South Korea. What does this tell about the times we are living in now?
You know, again, that is another video that I want William Ruto to watch. That in civilized jurisdictions, civilized places, that people don't exercise state capture. That if you break the law, you will face the full force of the law like any other citizen. Here, court orders are being disobeyed. Police are helpless because they state capture. You have seen police arresting a sitting president, handcuff, and presenting him before the courts.
Yeah.
What did he do? He gave an illegal order. Just an illegal order, martial law. When, he went beyond his powers. Here we have a president who is exceeding the powers that has been given by the Constitution. But nothing happens to him. Then I start asking myself, why aren't Kenyans angry? And if they are angry, and I'm sure they are, why are they not taking action? Why are they not taking action? The Kenyan people must know that the president is not above the law. Okay?
Yeah.
That using the same instruments that the president is using, Mwananchi have this final say. That they can even arrest the president from State House. Yes. Because the final powers are with who? Are with the people. Look at the Constitution. The final powers are not vested in the presidency or the president.
Yeah.
They are with the people. So why and how come the people are not exercising those powers?
That is the question.
That is a big question. But William Ruto must be put to notice that there's a new order, world order. There's a new world order. You've seen what happened in the West, Senegal, Burkina Faso,
Botswana,
Mali,
yeah.
now down south, Botswana. There's a wind of change. And that wind is coming fast and furious. And I can tell you, Jed, it will sweep William Ruto when he's sleeping. When he's sleeping on that bed of his in State House.
Yeah.
When he's sleeping, I am told he doesn't sleep, so I don't know. But when he's sleeping,
Yeah.
those few minutes that be sleeping, he will be swept by the wind of change. He will not, he will not believe it.
This is what people say, sleeping through a revolution, right?
Yes, there's a revolution in the offing, and it's going to sweep him. It will sweep people. It has swept others.
Yeah.
He is not the mighty king. It will sweep him. The last one, Jed.
Yeah.
And this one is very important, Jed. Because we must interrogate this matter. We have seen, for the first time in history, the judiciary, which is our last line of defense. Last line of defense. Under threat. Under serious threat. Our democracy is under siege. The Supreme Court is under siege because we have one or two individuals who have decided that they want to remove the entire bench. Now, the point is, if you are removing the Supreme Court because of incompetence and corruption, as some fellows say, calls it what? Juris Pesa.
Yeah.
If that is the case, the first arm of government that must go home, is the executive. They are the most corrupt, most incompetent, And you have seen the results. Everything they touch on is stinking of corruption. Everything.
Yeah.
Adani, stinking corruption. Fertilizer, stinking of corruption. G2G fuel, stinking of corruption. Everything is corruption. So why attack our last line of defense? The judiciary. In any case, Jed, I can tell you, and many Kenyans will tell you, that out of the three arms of government, it is the judiciary which is still functioning.
But
because there's no executive. The executive is one man. There's no executive. Then, if you look at the other one, Parliament was castrated long time ago. You heard Senator Sifuna talking of the fellows going to State House and getting 100,000 shillings, 100K. And they live there happy and come and make laws that are muting pain on Kenyans for 100,000 shillings. Yet they get a salary of $1 million bob. You've had the budget process being abused. One MP, and that's why maybe the backside is so full of heat. The backside is full of heat. The boy is getting 1.5 billion shillings when other constituencies are getting nothing. A paltry 50 million shillings. I think that's why the backside has so much heat. He can't bear the heat.
You don't have to go there.
But I have a don't question. Talk about can't go there. People are feeling pain, and that's where I'm going. Jed, that is where I'm going. Because that backside needs a fire brigade. It needs fire brigade. Let me tell you, Jed. Judiciary. We are not going to allow the executive to come crashing on the judiciary. Okay? This executive, which is blatantly disregarded the constitution, they are doing as they wish. Now they want to crash the judiciary so that we don't have an IEBC, we don't have a judiciary, we don't have a parliament, an executive is a one-man show. So that what can happen?
So from where you sit, do you believe these calls from the likes of Senior Counsel Nasir talking about juris pesa, do you believe they are being used by the executive?
I am telling you, Jed, I'm not saying that the judiciary is full of angels. But if you were actually to examine the three arms of government, and even if you were to give them a score on any matter, the judiciary will score a B. I'm telling you, and for me, if you get a B from me, you've done extremely well. You'll get a B. The executive is on a D minus. So which one should we be dispensing off with? Should we be targeting the judiciary, or should we be targeting the arm of government that is incompetent and corrupt? We are not, as Kenyans, we shall not sit down and see 1, 2, 3 people trying to disorganize this country. That should not be allowed. That should not be allowed, because the judiciary is a beacon of hope. Now, when you want to kill a hope, you've killed us already with taxes. You've killed us already with corruption. Now you want the last beacon of hope. But I will tell this government, Jed, I'll tell this government, for free, Jed, that if you think you're going to destroy everybody, we have 57 million Kenyans who are ready to face you. And they will deal with this government squarely.
Maybe,
in fact, now that people are really, now that even there's no parliament, in any event, you Gen Z actually send them packing on 25th of January. We don't have a parliament. They were sent home, so they are operating illegally. We don't have a parliament. They were sacked by the Gen Z. Now, our friends are talking about the judiciary being rogue, the juris pesa, and so on and so forth. So that now that everything is wrong, shouldn't we be starting afresh? Shouldn't we be restarting this country? If we must restart this country, then the honorable thing to happen is for William Ruto to resign. Before the Supreme Court goes home, President William Ruto and his entire cabinet must resign. They must be sent packing.
Yeah.
We must now start talking about a transitional arrangement to take us between now and 2027 with specific mandate to deal with things like IEBC, to deal with this thing, to even form a commission, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, to look at the past, okay, and to find a way forward. There are things that are pressing. There are very many things that are urgent, and I don't think the current administration will give it any urgency that it deserves. So it is time now that Kenyans must start agitating to form an arrangement that will transit, that will ensure that we have some of these things that we are talking about.
But you're saying
I think we need to have that conversation.
Before the judiciary...
Before the judiciary goes home. Before the judiciary goes home.
Yeah.
Because they are claiming that the judiciary or the Supreme Court is incompetent and is corrupt.
But if you look at some of the decisions...
Let me ask you, who is more corrupt?
I'm asking,
who is more corrupt?
Looking at some of the decisions that Kenyans were against, talk about Finance Bill 2023, talk about housing levy, some of these decisions, even Gachagua's impeachment, people are saying just wait so that, we can look at, there was some stay orders. Maybe these are some of the cases that people are thinking, if there's something that the executive has done, will the judiciary really help us as it is?
No, you see, Jed, I am not here to defend anybody.
Okay.
But the courts of the law, they go with evidence. If you say this, where's the evidence? If you cannot present your evidence, of course, you don't expect the judiciary to do your job. You can't. They go by evidence. The law of evidence is evidence. What does the law say about this one? Okay? So if Kenyans take some demagogues to parliament, you take them to parliament, they are bribed with 100,000 bob. Okay? They pass repugnant laws, like the finance bill. Then you expect the judiciary to clean up for you? This is a wrong parliament.
Deal with it.
You people must make sure that you do not elect people who are not even electable. Don't even, you don't dream, because you see the other day, Professor, my good friend, Professor Kibwana said, he was talking about school and he said, the only punishment you can give him is take him back to primary school.
Yeah.
I think there are many people who should be taken back to primary school in this parliament.
You arrest them, you take them to school.
Arrest, take them to nursery school and primary school.
8 years.
Yeah, they must have 8 years. Because how can they call themselves professors or what have you? I don't know what, engineers. And they have never seen a classroom.
Let's get into a conversation. We're assessing CS Muturi's abduction allegations and the revelations that he brought forth. Of course, the Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi gave this damning allegation, saying that it's the NIS that abducted his son Leslie. He says, look, he had to go to State House, talk to President William Ruto, for the president to make some few calls, and then talking through the NIS director, that is Nuruddin Haji, his son was released. My conversation today with Philip Kisia is all about whistleblowing. There are even talks that some cabinet ministers want to resign. Rumors are they are not given enough time for them or room for them to deliver. We saw that with the delivery unit director who resigned, Mr. Mbai. I want to talk to Kisia about these revelations. Of course, Kapsaret, Member of Parliament, Oscar Sudi, says this timing is suspect. We listen to Honorable Osoro. He's talking about Muturi should either resign or they will impeach him, or probably he should apologize, because how can you be in cabinet and talk the way he's talking about this administration? From where you sit, these revelations, they come 6 months after Leslie was abducted. Is the timing suspect? Do you agree with Oscar Sudi?
You know, Jed, the pain of a child is only known by a parent. It's only a parent who can understand the pain of a child. Last week we talked about what? 30 seconds versus 9 months. In fact, the people who understand the pain of a child are mothers. So, let us not even look at time, because pain does not disappear. It can only disappear with time, a lot of time, particularly when it touches on children. So, the likes of the people you mentioned, I don't want to repeat their names, because it's not worth it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Oscar Sudi.
It's not worth it.
Okay.
They must be reminded that the job of government is to protect, the first cardinal responsibility of government is to protect life and property. Once a government fails to protect life and property, it loses its legitimacy. Okay? It has no business remaining in power. But what our good friend Justin Muturi confirmed is that things are falling apart. Have you read that book, Things Fall Apart?
Yes.
By Chinua Achebe? Things fall apart. Actually, the Kenya Kwanza government is falling apart. And the center can no longer hold. Things fall apart. That's what Justin has said. And that is what we have been saying. You've heard Honorable Kalonzo talk about a dysfunctional government. You don't even have a government in the first place. Because if it cannot protect people, where is that's the job of government. So you have a regime that is completely failing. You have a government that is completely lacked in cohesion. It is now just focusing on doing the opposite. Abducting our children, extrajudicial killings, and so on and so forth, and increasing taxes and corruption. You see, Justin Muturi talked about things that are very sensitive. And we must thank him for being honest and courageous. Because he's basically saying this state capture. Because at that time you're serving as AG. And if as AG, those are the matters that need to be prosecuted in during the meetings at the National Security Council. It means there are no discussions that go on. It's a one-man show. Because if you can't talk at that level, where are these matters addressed? And if a child of a senior government official can receive such treatment, where are Kenyans? Ordinary Kenyans. You can imagine what is happening to these children that are abducted. You can imagine what is happening to them. Just try and figure out. You saw that Bernard boy has given an interview, horrifying interview. What he went through. And for a man who promised that he will not do those things and they're happening under his watch, is a horrible thing to happen. It's a horrible thing to happen. But Kenyans, and this is my advice for Kenyans, that we must gather evidence. Let's continue gathering evidence. Put our evidence together. Because the person who holds the highest responsibility, the highest accountability, is none other than the president.
I would like to...
Is none other than the president. Therefore, we put this evidence together, and because the one who holds that responsibility, I think, in my view, he's a candidate for Hague.
I want to ask
He's a candidate for Hague.
That's the president.
He is a candidate for Hague.
Because
he's the one who holds the highest responsibility. It is not you and me. When our children are disappearing and are dying, our children are just carrying water, water and handkerchief, and they are shot at so many times, several bullets. Of course, IG is another candidate for Hague. So he is a candidate for Hague.
There are potential candidates here.
They are candidates for Hague. Because the ultimate responsibility squarely lies with the head of state. Therefore, power does not last forever. But even now, we are gathering evidence, and I can assure you that him and many others are candidates for Hague.
Is there hope in our institutions? Because now we are at Hague, because we're looking at what mechanisms can be put in place now that the president is the one who has been mentioned through Justin Muturi's statement, and of course you expect that it is the DCI to investigate this. Is there hope? You even listen to Human Rights Watch, who are talking about there is this special squad within the DCI that is abducting Kenyans. Our hope is in the Hague. Is that the case?
Of course. Where else do we go to?
Kenya
Where else do you go to? Because those are the people who are supposed to uphold the constitution, the president, DCI, NIS. They took an oath of office. They are failing duty. Where do you run to? They even now want to get rid of the judiciary so that there's nothing. Where do we go to? There are two options we have as Kenyans. The first one, if you remain civil, the first one is to present these people to the Hague, to arrest them. Because the Constitution gives us power, Jed. I know you don't believe it, but it is there. Read the Constitution. Yeah. It gives you power to arrest even the head of state. And we present them to Hague with evidence. Okay? The second thing, and that's, I think, the last resort. And we don't want to get there as Kenyans. We don't want to get there. Because we have seen what has happened in other countries. It is terrible. But if you push human beings to that, it will happen like it has happened in other countries. It happened in Bangladesh. It happened in Syria. Forceful takeover. It has happened. It is nothing new. You may not want to talk about it, but these are possibilities. But I know Kenyans are civil people. Kenyans may not want to take that route, but don't push them too far. You're pushing them to the wall. And you see, when you push a human being to the wall, where do you expect them to run to? You want them to sit down and wait and die? They have to retaliate.
This is former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. With regards to these abductions, there are claims that putting a president in a coffin is enough treason. Listen to this.
Na hii maneno ya kuwekwa jeneza, kwani mnaogopa kifo namna gani? Mtakufa siku moja. Mnapiga kelele ati umewekwa jeneza, hata ukiwekwa jeneza kwani umekufa? What is the problem? Mnaleta shida mingi. Mtakufa siku moja. Kwa hivyo hata kama mnaogopa kifo is a natural thing. It will come. It's part of life. So hakuna haja tuue watoto ati wameweka yeye kwa jeneza kwa sababu hujaingia huko. Siku Mungu atafika atakuweka. That time will come. Tumekusikia vile umesema ya kwamba watoto wetu wako na tabia mbaya, tuwaongeleshe na tuwalee vizuri. Tutafanya hivyo rais. Lakini rais, hata wewe, hii matusi wewe ndio ulianza. Si ulisema tuko na mapepo? Si ni alisema?
Rigathi Gachagua on this case talks about everyone will die. Is this the approach government should have? That these are just kids complaining on social media? Why should you be concerned? Number one,
Jed, these children are a mirror of the society. The caricature they are doing, the cartoons, the thing, they are just responding to what is happening in the society. They live in this society. They are seeing what is happening. You want them to draw you as an angel when they know you're a devil? How is that possible? They must draw what you are. Secondly, Jed, we have the freedom of expression and speech. And when they say freedom of expression, you can express yourself in whatever way. And I agree with the Rigathi. What's the problem if tomorrow they draw me in a coffin? Because that's my destiny anyway. You'll either be in a coffin or you'll be cremated. Okay? But the end game is the same. You will die. So there's nothing to fear about death. I know, these characters in Kenya Kwanza, they're having it so good. They fear death.
They want to die.
They're having it so good. Maybach. Buying Maybach, and with our children are living in shanties. Our people live in shanties, have no water. They have no power, electricity. Our children have no medicine. They're driving Maybach. What level of stupidity is this, Jed? So allow our children to express themselves in whatever way. If you behave well, Jed, if Mr. Ruto behaves well, I am sure they will mirror him well. They will mirror him. But if they perceive him to be misbehaving, that is what they will put on the caricature and cartoons. Okay? But I think what is most important, Jed, is for them to be reminded that we live under a constitution that guarantees freedom of expression. And it's not limited. It does not limited. Okay? If they want to draw Philip Kisia as a man with a big nose, they're expressing themselves. How do you curtail freedom of expression? How? You want to put fear in people so that they can fear you?
Says Murkomen has said all of them will be charged.
Charge. Go ahead and charge. You're going to charge how many Kenyans? 10 million? Because the pain, we're all feeling that way. We are 57 million. Maybe only 100,000 are feeling okay. The rest are not okay with what is happening. So, to hell with Murkomen. To hell with him.
Now he's saying every social media platform should have an office in Kenya.
That is in his dream. In his dream. In his pipe dream. And you see, a regime that is about to come to the end. It's about to come to the end. That's how they behave. They're trying to switch off this one. They're rushing to switch off this one. They're in panic mode. They're not in panic mode. They're trying to kill Gen Z. They're trying to arrest people. Now they're saying, okay, come and, we need officers here in Kenya. What nonsense is this one, Jed? What level of stupidity, Jed? What level of stupidity?
You're calling it stupidity, but speaking of panicking.
At least I'm not saying you are people. At least I'm not calling you a people. People is a bad thing.
You can go there if you want
people is a bad thing, man.
Speaking of panicking, there are rumors that there are some CSs who want to resign. You saw that with the head of the government delivery unit, Mr. Mbai, who cited frustration, citing lack of room to operate. What is the danger if we see some mass exits in the near future? And how can government mitigate this, potential instability in government when it comes to, wanting to run government, but people don't want to be there, even though there are some who have been sworn in today?
Jed, first of all, you've asked me a fairly complex question. What strategies can they deploy? Are there any? Are there any for their survival? I doubt whether there are any strategies that they can now deploy, because they've tried everything, it has failed. Okay? So those people who are in this government who have intentions of resigning should resign now, so that they're not caught up. Already they're in a mess. In fact, these characters are in a pit latrine. Okay? Those few who we are just still about to throw them down into the pit latrine should run away very fast and tender their resignations. You see, you had this fellow who was been given a duty, head of government delivery services.
Yes.
But he has been given that function by somebody who does not believe in performance management. Somebody who has never exercised performance management. He doesn't believe in it, but he has created it so that he can look fashionable. You can look fancy. You can look good. So that when you're talking to World Bank and IMF, you can say, I have performance management systems in my government, which don't exist. This character signed the performance contracts midstream. Half year. You've consumed half the year, and you're signing a contract. How can you sign a contract after the fact? So it means that this administration does not even believe in performance management. So as to strategies of survival, they have run out of strategies. They don't have any left. They have tried everything. Everything has failed. Because in any event, there are good few people in the government. Even in the cabinet, by the way, there are few good apples. But because they are with rotten apples, because some of them are known, corrupt fellows. They are known. Some of them have even been charged in court for corruption. And other crimes, They have been charged in court. So, if Kenyans expect anything from this administration in terms of service delivery, I would urge them to stop dreaming, to get out of slumber. This is an administration that should be packing and going. Speak. Because you have a right to speak. Because if you don't speak now, it will be too late to speak. You may be one who will disappear.
Or your child.
Or your child. Speak now, like Justin Muturi has spoken. Speak now. There is no fear. Don't fear anybody. Those people are human beings. And like my friend Rigathi said, don't fear death. All of us will die. All of us, that coffin is waiting for us. That grave is waiting for us. And some of them, when they die, we may not even want to bury them. We will just want to cremate, we want to burn them like charcoal. We may just want to burn the buggers like charcoal. Because they have misbehaved. Because they have killed our children. They have mistreated Kenyans. Are those people to bury with honor? Those are not people to bury with honor. No. Those are people to burn like charcoal. Not to bury with honor. Because they have killed our children. Our children are dead, Jed. Are you forgetting our children are dead, Jed? Are you forgetting? Are you forgetting that Rex, these people have no shame. The graves of our children have not even dried. The blood is still on their fingers, on their hands. They still have blood, and they're making noise. Shame on you. Stop making noise. In fact, Jed, just the way they murdered our children, I pray they feel the same pain. One day, and one day very soon. I pray they also feel the same pain, Jed. The children who died on 25th or in June, the children who have been murdered, the children who have disappeared, Jed, are children. They have family. They have parents. They have family. They are human beings. Why shouldn't they feel the same pain one day, very soon?
What a conversation. What a conversation right here with Philip Kisia. Thanks for tuning in to this one. But always, before we wrap up, it's good to have the last words from Kisia. He says, now, all of us will face death.
Oh, yes, Jed. Death is coming, fast and furious. Jed, as we wind up the program today, you know, there's this video, and that's what I'm saying, that Kenyans are power. And you look for this video where citizens in Nakuru carried out a citizen's arrest. Look for that video.
We're saying that from Nakuru.
From Nakuru, yes.
Tell me, what are we looking at?
Jed, the people of, and kudos Nakuru. You've shown us the way. Nakuru way. People of Nakuru have exercised their powers that is in the Constitution. You come with a Subaru, doesn't have number plates, you don't have uniform, you don't have a number, personnel number, you don't have anything, you don't have a warrant of arrest, you're just coming arresting people. Those people who come in that manner should be arrested by Kenyans. And Nakuru have led by example. Because we do not have a parliament. It was castrated long time ago. It's bure kabisa. It's rogue. We don't have an executive. It's a one-man show, full of incompetence and corruption. Now the only arm, the beacon of hope judiciary, they have gone to attack it. We don't have an NIS. It is there, moribund. Police carrying extrajudicial killings. In fact, the only one that left is now army, the armed forces. But the rest have failed us, completely failed us. So, that being the case, we are supposed to be represented by members of parliament. We are supposed to be taken care of by the executive. They have both failed. Kenyans must learn that they must take care of themselves. They must now exercise their power and take care of themselves. They must, if they don't do it, they'll perish. Okay? That incident in Nakuru has confirmed that the power is with the people. People power.
People power.
The second one.
Yeah.
Look for the, I think that just early this afternoon I saw a video on Kagame, President Kagame. And by the way, I should tell you, he lived in Calif. Yeah, he lived in Calif for some time. That place produces serious guys. Calif, man.
I know leaders when I see them. I also know idiots when I see them. You can imagine the combination of both of them, the disaster it is. If you are a leader and an idiot, it's a disaster, absolute disaster. It is even worse, even more dangerous, if the very people who hold the power in their hands decide that they will be manipulated and played around for some interest by idiots.
That is President Kagame speaking about the link between leadership and idiots, how dangerous it is. We're winding up with that one.
Yes. I mean, it was, I listened to it several times and I said, was he addressing us? I listened and I said, my friend, my former neighbor, Your Excellency, Kagame, are you addressing us? Why? Are you addressing Kenyans? Because most people who pretend to be leaders or exercising leadership are just complete idiots. Complete. Most people who pretend to be exercising leadership are useless and hopeless, are thugs. They're just stealing our resources. In fact, they also listen to other idiots. I don't mention their names, who are misadvising them.
That's what Kagame is.
Yes. You are there in a position of power. Instead of using your brain, you're using brains of people who are stupid and idiotic. You're using their brains to govern.
The whole of Africa is watching that clip. Don't say it's us.
Listen. No, I'm just saying, I'm asking, was my former neighbor talking about us?
Is there a beef between?
Was he talking about us?
Or he knows something?
Or he knows something that we don't know. I think he talked about disaster. But I think catastrophic should have been the word. Because it's not just a disaster, man. It is not a bad space not a good space to be in. To be led by people who think they are smart, by people who think they think they are smart, by people who cannot listen. But sometimes when you think you are smart, kumbe, you're like my teacher, English teacher will say, Mr. Okila, you're too idiotic, more than idiosyncrasy itself. You're too idiotic, more than idiosyncrasy itself. That is our people. So please stop this nonsense, respect Kenyans, and Kenyans, don't allow this country to go down. We now need to have a conversation. How are we going to survive? How are we going to navigate this country between now and 2027? We must hold that conversation.
Thanks for tuning in to that conversation with Philip Kisia, talking about someone who's an idiot more than idiocracy.
Idiosyncrasy
in itself. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day. Remember to subscribe, share this video with as many people as possible so that Kenyans understand that we do have these conversations and our leaders might get a few tips on how to govern. Goodbye for now.
What gives him the idea that he can do as he wishes? This is not his personal house. This is not for going. I think the president needs to stop being simplistic.
Is there a vacuum post Raila?
Play one clip where Ruto has spoken truthfully.